Hello, Recognize7 and welcome back to Rule the Waves 3 as we continue our nautical adventures with the great and glorious Spanish Empire. We are, of course, we're not heading anywhere. We're in the middle of 1942. The world is at peace after a, short and uneventful war with the French. But of course, being at peace just means we have to prepare for the next war. And so that is what we're doing. And specifically, we are designing ourselves a battleship for the ages. This is a new beast to take the glory of our battle line. And yes, give our Madrid and our Malaga the final right to go into a well overdue retirement. So that's what we're going to do. I did touch upon it at the end of the last episode, some initial design considerations, and I'd get some comments back, so I appreciate that as always. Before we get into those, I did want to say let's have a quick look at our competition. And this is always going to be a little bit of a backwards look, because this will take 3 years essentially to build. So ours are actually going to be like 1945 ships, which is actually quite crazy when you think about it. And we're also going to be comparing them to existing ships sold by the latest 1940s. But I did want to have a look, and especially want to have a look at things like speed. So last time I had a quick look, and I was worried about having to drop our speed down to like maybe 28, just because of the tonnage costs. And there's been some fairly vocal opinions in the other direction saying we need to keep this speed going so we can chase some things down. So let's have a look at Germany. So its latest and greatest battleship, the Tirpitz, has come out here. 46,000 tons, indeed pushing the 30 knots. 2 quad turrets. Now, I don't tend to use these very much, but it's actually not a bad way to save on some weight and get some more barrels out there. And there's some downsides, which we'll talk about later, because this is definitely one of the things we're considering for our somewhat wonky design. 17 inches, pretty nice, really healthy secondary, although not dual purpose inches. And some, no, that's a good looking ship, 13.5 inches belt. Fair play. Got the speed. Her older battleships, you can see here 27, 28 knots. Even this one, 1929, and it was getting 28 knots. Poof. Fair play to you. Only 15-inch guns, those. So yeah, so you can see if we bring our new ones out, having that 30 knots of speed is going to be comparable to existing German battle line. We also don't know much about the Wetten. And then similarly for heavy cruisers, actually 30 knots is going to mean you keep up with all the kind of existing heavy cruiser class, which can be useful because you're wanting to chase them down. What about, let's skip all stronger. Let's have a look at France. They're also kind of contemporary. Let's look at the Bouvet. 29 knots, so a little bit slower, but they're thereabouts. Again, 14 inches belt, 15-inch guns. Looks pretty good. Good healthy secondaries. Yeah. Oh, got some aircraft as well. But yeah, up in that kind of range of speed. The older battle line is apparently pretty slow, down about the mid-25s. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I believe that 18. It's not 24 knots for the Mirbeau. Okay, so that's... And again, on looking at existing heavy cruisers, they're all around about 30 knots. Although our new classes are, in fact, even faster. Interesting. Who else might be useful to look at? Italy, do you have anything worth talking about? You've got a 32, it's quite an old one now. Even that was 28 knots. America, when's your last battleship? 35. But we could look at this battle cruiser. That's a 1942, fairly modern. Again, 31 knots, 50,000 tons, beast. 14 inches, okay. 13-inch belt. I feel like they've not really got their money's worth there with 50,000 tons displacement. Okay, it's still a very handy ship and would put a lot of ours to shame. And what about Britain? What have you got on the go? What's the latest? Vengeance is a 38. That must be like a rebuild. 24 knots. Interesting. 60,000 tons. I'm not sure that's accurate. You don't always get right info. The Hood here, 27 knots. Okay, seems to be potentially a little bit slower, although it does have its battle cruisers as well. Okay, So I think there's some strong arguments saying, hey, we really need to try and get up to that kind of 30 knot speed. If we have a look at our own ships, let's just sort them by speed. It does mess in the destroyers. Let's not sort them by speed. Obviously, our existing battle line is super slow and something we may need to look at trying potentially retrofitting. If we can replace the machinery, might make us a little bit quicker. Can be expensive. We'll have a look at that. Our heavy cruisers are painfully slow. They're going to get picked off by something. And even our new light cruiser, 31, which I think is respectable. So yeah, an injection of pace would probably not go amiss. And just, I've probably talked about it before, but just in case anyone's, I don't know how you'd get this far in the series and be unfamiliar, but just in case you are, the number in brackets is your design speed. No, actually not your design speed. Your initial operation speed, because there's always a chance that that comes to be and not faster or slower than your original design. And then the number is your current speed. So as ships age, they now get slower if you don't replace their engines. Okay, good. So I think we'll go stick with 30 knots. And on that, with that, I think this weird thing is where I've kind of ended up. And so let me talk through, and it was before I'd seen the German ones when I was just threw it in here and did an auto design, and it threw out this kind of forward turrets only, but quad turrets. And it's a good way to save some weight. Has its downsides. Obvious downsides, you lose a turret, you lose half your guns. I mean, we're only carrying 8 barrels to begin with, which isn't a huge number. Yeah, and you lose your turrets, you lose your guns. But as with everything, you've got to give something up, some compromise. So what I thought is our kind of baseline. Well, I've kept this 30 knots because I agree. I think it is important. I think we do need an injection of pace within our fleet, and it does need to last us a few years. And I've wanted to keep a reasonable chunk of armor, so we're going to 13-inch from the belt, which isn't as crazy as you can get. Also, somewhere we're rocking 14s. I'm not surprised by the time this rolls out, we'll see a few with kind of 15 or 16 inches. But again, something that was good, and I think that gives us some pretty good coverage. And I wanted 5 inches of deck to give us some protection against dive bombers, because that's going to become more and more of a threat. So we get all that plugged in, and that was okay. As long as we stick with this weird, these turrets, and not have a third one in the aft. Again, I've stuck with the 16-inch caliber, which does limit our effectiveness. And this is definitely, I put some time pondering this. So on the 16s, if you're up against something with 13-inch armor, then you've got to get close into 17,000 yards before you're punching through. Or if they were 14.5, we saw in one of them, you really get down to 13,000 yards. So you've got to, there's a healthy closing distance. Now, I tend to find in real the ways most fights do close up when both people want to stick around for a fight. But obviously, there's going to be a period where potentially we're getting wailed upon and not and aren't effectively answering that. From the deck side of things, yeah, okay. If we're got to be miles out before we're kind of penetrating most people's decks. And certainly if you went up to see the 18s, I don't know why my ship changed colour there, but there you go. Then you can see, you start punching through much further out. So it's not much further out. So for the 13, you got a few thousand yards. For the 14.5, we were in at 13,000. You're now going to punch out 16. So again, it's only 3,000 yards. So it's maybe not as big a advantage we're giving away as I thought. But I was quite happy with the 16s actually, so I think that was a good compromise on rate of fire and punchability versus space. So that's why I've gone with those. One of the things I think we have had to concede a little bit of ground on is rounds per gun. 115 is a little on the low side. But we're just going to do it. Interestingly, a couple of times the AI design only spawned with 85 rounds per gun, and I suppose you probably don't fire your main battery that often, but I still like to carry a little bit more than that, but that's all we can really afford. Secondaries, 5-inch dual purpose, we get 3 dual turrets. Primary focus is going to be kind of on the AA side of things, and I think that's a fairly healthy amount of AA. Haven't bothered with any tertiaries, no planes or anything, no mines. We've kept our radar though. And then the other place where I've done a little bit of weight saving is I've not gone with the latest and greatest torpedo defense. So I've dropped down from a 4 to a 3, which saves us about 500 tons. Which means you can still take a few torpedoes before we really have trouble. And I think that's fine. Again, I think some of the greater impacts are going to be starting to be kind of dive bombers and things, although we still want some torpedo defense. And I think this is where we're going to end up. I have a little bit more topside capacity and a little bit more weight, so why don't I just tweak these? I haven't actually tweaked these since the AI design. I want probably more mediums than lights, if you please. So why don't I just zero that? Do something a little bit sensible. Okay, very good. Man, that's doing its best. Okay, I think this seems okay. It's funny, when I design it, I must admit, I tend to err towards I design my turrets and my guns first and then kind of think about the rest. So it's a little bit of a different way of doing it, to actually say, okay, no, focus on a speed and almost an armor scheme, and then say, well, what offensive capabilities can I buy for that? But no, I think this is a very capable, and I do like the idea that she's going to be nippy enough to keep up with what's going on in the world. Oh, I need a name. Did I have a name? Oh, I'm not sure. Hang on, give me a minute. Okay, there were some suggestions, but for once I'm not going to go with them. We've been leaning on a bit of Greek mythology for actually a bunch of our names, but I decided to bring it back to our Iberian roots. I've gone with El Coco, which is something I didn't know about, so I had to do a bit of research on it. But essentially it's the Iberian equivalent of the bogeyman, a ghost-like monster or behemoth that's going to come and snatch away disgruntled children. So I like the idea that we're some kind of ghostly monster that appears out of the mists on the sea and snatches ships out of ether. I don't know, it appealed to me, so that's what we're going with. Beautiful. Save and finish. I know I've got less technology than allows, but that is okie dokie. Oh, it's an expensive design. Okay. I mean, it's all fine, but how much are we paying these designers, really? We will only be able to afford one at a time. So that is something. We may only have one of these things, and then potentially we'll get a new design in 3 years. I tend to ordinarily build my ships in at least pairs, so I suppose it saves a little bit on design costs. But same conversation that we had with the fleet carriers, in that, well, actually now we've got 3 years to potentially upgrade our designs. Good. Oh, one thing I want to look at is our research. You could probably tweak some of this stuff around now. Yeah, fire control and high is good. Subdivision and damage control. I'm going to bump this up, actually up to high, to try and get some of the ones which just improve your efficiency and ability, because I think that's important. Turrets and gun mountings, I don't really need any more of those, although there's probably some rate of fire improvements in there, which would be nice. Again, I don't need light forces right now. Torpedoes or that. Explosive shells, that might be useful. Put you up for once. AA. Yeah, let's make sure that gets more effective. Radar should be on high. Naval aviation, I'll leave that one on high. Do face search. I think we got what we needed here, so maybe we'll put that one down to low. We're not building any more CVs anytime soon. Don't need any of those. Anything else here we can potentially drop down? I mean, yeah, I'm going to put these all... I'm going to split the difference on these and put them down to medium, because, again, they all make little differences in terms of ship design, 1% savings here and there, etc., but they're really not a focus. So fire control, we want damage control. Got a little bit on projectiles, which is fine. And then we've got... yeah, let's put that one down to medium. So we've got a kind of generic ship improvements that we just want to keep going. A focus on damage control, fire control, AA, radar, naval aviation, and yeah, I want a high focus on guns because I want to get some more quality 1 stuff. Okay, I think that seems like a reasonably thought out plan. Finally, the other bit we may want to think about changing is our priorities. 600 monies a month. if we want to focus on damage control, which I think is potentially going to get more important with things like our carriers and our bigger ships. Now we're going to survive longer, but we are going to have to make sure we maintain them. I like the night fighting one, but it's not as relevant yet. I think I'm well for it. I'm thinking let's get our guys trained up in damage control. We'll eat the costs. I think it's going to be useful. We don't have elite pilot training. We should do that. Float plane helicopter search party. I don't really have much in the way of float planes, so we can leave that one for now. Don't tend to use oxygen fuel torpedoes. So I'll worry about my own ships blowing up. And that's fine. Naval Academy. And I've not tweaked it. I know you can, there's a little bit of min-maxing to be done with this stuff, but I don't tend to play around with it too much, to be honest. Oakley Dokley. Right, and let's advance the turn and see what... it's like 15 minutes in, finally hit the end turn button. Another round of fighting has broken out among the Balkans. What should our reaction be? We can say it's deplorable, we can ignore it, or we can say it was, of course, France. As I said last time, after our non-war, in which we rallied with Germany, I've got a bit of a hankering to have at them again. Ooh, a 6-inch autoloader. Now that you can have a lot of fun with an autoloader. Start kind of, you can build these machine gun-esque ships, I suppose. Light cruisers that just pound things with autoloaded 6-inch fire. Can be a lot of fun. Okay, let's go ahead. A disarmament conference is being held in The Hague. Interesting. Again, I like disarmament conferences because they're interesting, and interesting I think is fun. But I really want some new battleships. And it's, okay, we might hurt a few people a little bit, but what's going to happen is we're going to have to scrap a ton of our fleet. So our fleet tonnage is lower than everyone else's, and I believe that's a factor. Oh my god, China, what's happened to your fleet? Japan, how are you affording 700,000 tons on the same budget I am? Wow. And in fact, Germany's getting 150,000 on not much more. And granted, I've lost a bunch of ships and things, but whew. Even France is really pushing out. I've got more money than France now, and they're really cranking up the tonnage. Good doke. But, sorry, got distracted. Long story short, no, I don't think we want disarmament. So let's keep up appearances. Uh-oh. An international conference has come up with a draft for Naval Arms Limitation Treaty. No ships more than 20,000 tons may be built. Main caliber restricted to 12 inches. Can we accept this treaty? No. You're going to half my fleet. No, 280,000. Oh, actually, here now. Hang on. So it does stuff our design. So we wasted 8 million on a battleship and 10 minutes of your life of me wittering talking about it. And we do have really old battleships, so we're behind the curve a little bit there. Oh, we haven't finished building our CVs. We absolutely cannot accept this, because they would both get scrapped. Okay, that's simple. When are they due to finish? Right, no. What? Oh, you're going to force me to take one of them. No, this is the worst. Can we go higher? Oh, I don't like it. The displacement limit says 25,000 tons. And a caliber limit to 13. According to the draft treaty, we limited total tonnage of 280,000 tons with half move capital in aircraft carriers. Our current tonnage is 350. Other people do other things. And we could try and push it up a little bit if we want. I'm going to go and, using the power of YouTube, double check what tonnage my CVs were, because I can't remember. Okay, I thought it was that, but I didn't want to double check. It's 30,000 tons. Is the displacement of a brand new aircraft carriers, which we were like a few months away from finishing. So I'm going to have to, we must have higher, I don't care about the caliber, we must have a higher displacement limit. Give me 30,000. Come on. 30,000. Yes, we got them. Okay. Okay, now this gets interesting. Caliber limit to 14. So again, a new battleship. Scrunch up, throw out the window. We're not building it. But that's not the end of the world. We could probably do... I could probably do a couple of battle cruisers to replace the Madrid and the Malaga. In fact, we'll probably just scrap them anyway, because we're going to have a lower tonnage. Oh, but we are going to have 3 pretty darn good fleet carriers. Okay, I'm interested in this now. So we're 280,000 tons, so we still have to scrap 60,000 tons of ships. And again, we're going to get rid of a bunch of corvettes and stuff, which we'll have to rebuild when war breaks out, but that's fine. Let me show me the almanac. So we lose 40,000 tons, which is a little bit ouch. Germany, it loses almost 200,000 tons. Okay, it's a very far bigger loss. Austria-Hungary loses 80,000 tons, which is fine. Britain's doing pretty well out of this, actually. Britain's doing very well out of this. We're like 250,000 tons they lose, which is a big number, but their total is much bigger. If you look at 660 versus 880, Germany's much smaller compared to where they stand today. Spain, they're doing okay. They're a small cut. Okay, now this is interesting. So France loses 100,000. We're losing 40. So it's definitely a win for us in that regard. But the number is still bigger. Also, we were trying to move on up in the world. And USA and look at Japan. So I think the problem we've run into here is we didn't have enough stuff built when the treaty came in. A couple more months and we would have been up at 380,000 tons. But I suspect there's 1 and 2 battleships getting scrapped straight away. We'll keep our CV. Germany might lose a CV. Doesn't really hurt France though. Beyond them having to just trim down their fleet. "23 years. That's interesting. I'm tempted to go for it. I'm still going to be trying to start a war in the not distant future. I think we can do this. If my CVs get scrapped for some reason, I'm going to cry. Loudly and with great prejudice. Let's go for it. Oh, what an ambitious treaty. We'll keep it for 23 years. Okay. Yep, so the Wetton has get scrapped straight away. Revenge is getting scrapped. The USA has got scrap a CV. And we didn't scrap anything yet. Okay, that's good. Dual purpose exchanges, which is good, although I tend to stick with 5s for reasons. And the new medium bomber, okie doke. Okay. Close. Alright, now we have some interesting decisions to make. So, let's look at our fleet. We need to scrap a lot of stuff. Well, the first thing we're going to do is get rid of these 2, I'm afraid. Thank you for your time. But, time to go. Oh, we got a little bit of money back. I'm disappointed no one got put in a museum. Now, what's our limit on capital ships? Bs, BBs, BCs, and CVs. We're only allowed 140,000. We're going to run into difficulty here. Right, does CVLs count? No. Because I want to keep my 3 fleet carriers, which is going to be 90,000 tons of my 140,000 tonnage, which means I'm only going to have 50,000 tons available for capital ships, and I have a lot more than that currently, which means potentially we're even going to get rid of a Trident in the end. Ooh, interesting. For just now, and it does bring me a bit of sadness, we're going to say cheerio, Andalusia. Okay, so we're now under for capital ships for 3 months, and then we're in another world of hurt. But that's okay. Overall treaty, we're still going to scrap some stuff, so we're going to go and we're going to get rid of all our treaty, our what's I'm looking for? Trade protection corvettes can go. We'll happily spit those out when needed. And we did have a couple of spare corvettes. Let's get rid of them. Scrap. And what we can do is start, as I said we did last time, we can start putting ships out to these places. Actually, we could do that with the Baltic World and Puerto Rico. Although one of these was wrong. I can't remember which one it was. Was it you? You do 8,000 and I needed 8? No, I should be fine. You do... I can't remember. 4,800 plus 25%. Should do 6,000. No, these seem to be okay. So you're currently in the Southeast Asia though. I'd quite like to move you back up to the Baltic, where you belong. And I'm going to move you over to the Caribbean, where you belong. And we might then scrap a few more of these corvettes. And yeah, I think we'll look to replace these with kind of colonial light cruisers, because that's more tonnage efficiency. I'm still slightly over. 6,000 tons over. Other things we may say goodbye to. She was fun, but I think we're going to say goodbye to Sydney. We'll have to watch our... Oh, and the submarines. We care for submarines. We care not about these submarines. Oh, there's a whole bunch of displacement here. Hang on. See you later. Okay, boom. We're fine for just now. Awesome. And then the name of the game is going to be about making new and efficient ships and retiring these old ones. Okay, interesting. And then we'll see how quickly or slowly we end up running into war. Interesting times, interesting times. Okay. No. 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 Due to treaty build restrictions, we can have a maximum of 45,750 tons of warships building. Where, that wasn't mentioned anywhere. Oh, I mean, it's limited down here, but I didn't see it in my text. We currently have 60,000 tons building, which exceeds the limit. Note that submarines count for treaty tonnage and build restrictions. It's 5 months away, 3 months away. Can I pause it? What if I just halt? Is that okay? I'm gonna cry. She was going to be the Cerberus. Good name suggestion. Thank you, Sinmac. But now she's going to be scrapped. What an absolute waste of money. I'm really upset by that. Oh, that does not make me feel good at all. Okay. Right, money is not going to be a problem. Missile technology, that is interesting. Like a whole lot of scrappage going on here. Ooh, okay. Close. Good. I like to see it. Makes the world interesting. Right. Find more missiles. Insufficient ships on foreign stations. Do we know? Where? Southeast Asia, fair enough. What we shall do is throw somebody. It's not very efficient use, but if I put you on foreign stations, can I move you out to Southeast Asia while you're doing it? Joke. I still want to build some new battleships. We are restricted. No, we were going to talk about maybe building some battle cruisers, weren't we? Potentially a battle cruiser. So design me a battle cruiser. If we get her down to 22,500, you could build 2 of them. She's got to be no more than 30,000. I think we can build a good one for 30,000. 14s is okay. 30 knots is fine. I wouldn't mind squeezing a little more if we can. I think we'll stick with 3 for a bit of weight saving. Let's get rid of these for that. Let's have secondaries as our 5 inches. Okay, 14 inch. Do we want 14s? Potentially. I mean, what's your job really going to be? Hunt down cruisers and also kind of stand in the battle line when you can. Armor's a little on the light side, as is your deck, but battle cruisers, you gotta give something up somewhere. Oh, no, you don't need a plane. I do like the idea of it, but I think we're going to be running into radar soon. And okay, your search range is not as big. I think we can better spend the tonnage somewhere else. So if we go say 12 inch, can we get up to say 4 inches of deck? Nowhere close. I'm going to make you a little bit vulnerable, I'm not going to lie. Let's just bring these down a little bit. They're fine. Conning tower doesn't need to be that much. Sure, you can have 10 inches. I could buy us another inch of... No, it couldn't. Okay, so we could get 30 knots. 9 14-inch guns. What are we currently rocking? 6 14-inch guns. Okay. And 23 knots. So it's a big step up, and essentially we're looking at a replacement for the Asturias here. So over 140,000 tons, we're going to have 60,000 tons of CVs, and I will cry forever at that loss, which does leave us 80,000 tons. Which is not a great number. We've currently got 72 there. So my CV that rolls out essentially is going to replace a Trident. And then we could probably build one of our... Actually, we could build one of our El Cocos if we wanted. At 40,000 tons. And we're going to have 1 battleship, 1 battle cruiser, and 2 CVs. And that would fill our 140,000 tons. I mean, they'd be good. But by jings, there ain't many of them. And if we were going to do that, then we could actually hold off in this battlecruiser design. As it stands, when that CV rolls off the gangplank, that's not what boats are built on. We have to scrap. We could scrap the Asturias and we could keep it. So we could have 2 CVs and 2 battleships. But then if I'm replacing them, I've got to either stick within 36,000 tons. It could go up a little bit more. Oh yeah, actually I could do 2 40,000 ton battleships. Oh no, there's a thought. No battle cruisers. 2 fleet carriers. 80,000, 60,000. Okay, I think we're going to do that. We are going to build at least 1 El Coco and potentially roll into 2 depending on how long this interminable peace lasts. And in the meantime, it's a mess around here. I think we're going to start replacing some of these heavy cruisers and the like. Trick will be keeping with tonnage. Now we've got a little bit of tonnage room to play around with. Not much, but we've got a little bit. Although we're going to use all of this 16,500 up. So actually we've got almost almost none. But that's fine. Okay, so that's a decision made. Turn. France and Italy have signed alliance. Oh, that's awkward. That is awkward. I will sell stuff to Austria. More SW, that's good. El Coco is ready for construction. Oh, I can't build her. Every time I forget about it, it's 14-inch maximum. I'm not building a 40,000 ton battleship with 14-inch guns. So, not now. We are indeed going to go down the battlecruiser route. And probably pop out 2 battlecruisers. And then what? Can I rebuild these? Here's a question. Okay, you have 25. That doesn't feel like it's that good. So here's a problem we've got. CV, the Pegasus comes out, Asturias gets mothballed. Okay, we're fine, we're sitting pretty. We've got 6,000 tons of CVs, we've got 80,000 tons to play around with, and we have 72,000 tons of battleship. Everyone's happy. So that means whatever I build, I'm going to scrap a Trident. And the question is, do I want a battle cruiser? Or would I rather just keep my 2 battleships? And I think I might rather just keep the 2 battleships. As slow as they are, and they are slow, I think we'd rather keep those, and then we may look at probably replacing our heavy cruisers then. Okay. And probably our foreign services stuff. Well, actually, we can look at replacing a couple of those. Oh, in fact, we can get rid of these. You 3 in the Caribbean are not needed anymore. Scrap you. And the Baltic ones. Scrap you. Okay, so that's freed up a little bit more tonnage. Oh, I've miscalculated somewhere. I think I did this last time as well. Oh, he's not in the Baltic yet. Oops, that's my bad. Okay, head up there. Yeah. Okay, so then actually what we're going to build is a heavy cruiser. I could take them up to, say, 14,000 tons. I've got a little bit of tonnage to play around with. These are going to be replacements for the Douro and the Ebro. I think I might got my gun caliber a little. Well, we do have... Well, that's not what to look at. We do have... Where's my research? We do have quality 111s. I was tempted to go all the way up to 12s. But maybe what we say is, let's just go with the quality 1 guns. No, I do want my 5 dual purposes. We can bring your speed to say 30 knots. I'd say bring you in line with our fleet. But what fleet? Because we didn't build the blooming ships. Let's bring you down to say 12. I'm still miles away from what I need to be. And you don't have much deck protection either. I may have to steal a knot from you. Even that doesn't work. We could go like a 3-2-3. Save ourselves a little bit of weight. I'm going to put some thought into this off camera. Okay, I went away and had a look at the almanac, some other people's heavy cruiser, just going to get what its compatriots were. I know there's a fair few others gone for a lot less in the old belt. You know, the kind of 3s, 4s, 4s and halves. Again, they're slightly older models, but I was curious. So I did trim it down to the 5, which did enough to make it work. Although, if we look at our own gun data, we have no immunity. As soon as we get defense from our, in fact, we're just punching through it. So we have a slug fence against any other heavy cruisers, to be honest. Although there may be a question saying, well, if you don't have immunity, then don't worry about it and actually take less armor. And what are we trying to fight here? Other heavy cruisers say 10 inches. Again, they're going to be poking holes through us with reasonable regularity. No. Oh, we'll go with it. I would really like an extra inch of deck armor, but it's 700 tons. I can't afford unless I go even slower, and I don't want it. I'm already below the 30, sticking with 29. So this will have to do again. We'll have to give up a little defense of torpedoes. We're going to level up deck, and we may pay for that. We've got reasonable HEA, dual purpose 5-inch secondaries. I'm pleased with the oh, we can save some weight here. That's a lot of ammo. I don't need that many. With the 11-inch quality one, I think that's good. Let's bring this up a little bit instead. And we've got a little bit of AA there. Oh, and I think we did the same with our previous heavy cruisers. These are more likely to be, I think, roaming on their own out in our kind of Southeast Asia holdings. So I have kept the float planes. So I do think that's a good addition to them, because I know we've just sent the Adelbear out that way, but not always guaranteed. And sticking with the river theme, so the Douro, Ebro were Spanish rivers, I've gone with the Tagus, which is another Spanish river. I like that. Okay. No. No. I want a heavy cruiser. Oh, is there a limit on... I can't remember what thing I've tripped over. It might be, have I got too much belt? No, it doesn't feel right. Hang on a minute. Let me work this one out. Well, so it seems to be our caliber is tripping us up. So you see it, 10-inch caliber, happy, no worries. Up to 11 inches, ship identified as a BC. I changed the speed. That's why it's now calling it a battle cruiser. And also if I drop down below 30, you'll tell me it's a battleship. Except, so it seems to be that 11 inches and above, it's wanting to transform into a battleship, battle cruiser, which is quite odd, because in the actual World Waves 3 manual, it states that heavy cruisers can have, displacement up to 12,000 tons? Is that what I've done wrong? And, no, hang on, let me read this again. No, more than 4,000 tons. Faster than 19 knots, obviously these are very, old things. More than 10 inches belt, no more than 12. At least 6 inches caliber, not more than 11. But what it actually means is it's got to be 10. That's a shame, we lose the quality 1, which is a nice advantage. I'm sure I've built 11-inch heavy cruisers previously. Anyway, I'll not worry too much about it. Let's bring ourselves up to 9 turrets if we can. Can we get with 30 knots? Oh, there we go. Alright, so we're going to go 30 knots, 9 turrets, albeit only 10 inches of caliber. Let's see if we can bring a few more. I'm tempted to drop our belt down a little bit if everyone else is going to be in the same boat. Or actually try and squeeze in a little bit more deck armor. Might be a better way of doing it. Now here's a question. No, let's go speed as our defense. 2 inches deck, 30 inches of speed, 120 rounds. Oh, hang on, we can do, oh, not that. Just that, fine, whatever. Good dual purpose secondaries, only torpedo vents 2, But again, something's got to give. But it's a much improvement upon our existing heavy cruisers, without a shadow of a doubt. Okie dokie. So after much faffing around, let's call that good enough. That's curious. A very curious one. Okay, we're going to turn Cleopatra. 12 16-inch guns, 33 knots, nippy nippy. Okay, more money down. It's not very good. You're going to reduce capacity. I will. We're going to get there in a minute. No, I don't want to create air units right now. Oh, it's design study. 1 month. Okay. Chinese bomber. Oh, they're not going to be that interesting, to be honest. Ooh, better radar. That is interesting. Looking forward to start getting to the radar fights. We can go to the build screen. We can build one of them right now. We will. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be Tagus. So that's put us up to 44,000. And then next month we'll be able to lay down a second one once the Pegasus pops out. Here she is. So let us build one more of these. That's going to be the... I had a name for it. Avalima. Not the city, but the river. Jolly good. And yeah, then we have to say probably goodbye to our Asturias here. It's a shame, because that was a heck of a ship. Heck of a ship she's done for us. Sad times. Yep. We've got 20,000 tons we can play around with. And we're going to lose 2,000 when we replace our heavy cruisers. So that's going to bring it down to 18,900 tons. I'm tempted to go for three Teguses. Can I put them all? I can't afford to lay them down at the same time. I'd put me a couple of million under. Actually, I probably could afford it. 14, 28, 42. Yeah, we could afford to do that. Why not? I need a new name for one. Running out of rivers. Okay, go on. Build me another heavy cruiser, please. And this is the Minho Sil. Okay. And then when they come out, we'll get rid of the Douro and the Ebro, and that'll be our fleet, and then we'll start looking at upgrading some rest. Probably overhauling a bunch of our destroyers. We'll probably look at placing all of these guys with probably 1,500 ton ones to try and strike a balance. But something like that. But that is going to do us for just now. So an interesting twist and turn. I'm interested. I'm keen to see what it goes. I'm really upset that we had to lose that fleet carrier. That makes me sad. But apart from that, I think we're doing okay. I think we can sharpen up the ships we've got, and then it's just going to be a case of being prepared to leap into a future war against whoever that may be. Oh, you have no capital ships, Italy. I mean, it's probably going to be France. I don't like the fact they're working together, though. It's going to cause me problems. But anyway, that'll do for just now. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheerio.